Upam sagrajatam sahaguna raghunathanvitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadhutam parijanasaitam Kṛṣṇa chaitanya devam Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa padam sahagana lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam sacha Om ajnanatirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya Chakshurun militam yeno tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Guru Abhishta Shapurakam Guru Ganera Shisha Sambhushitam Chinta Chinta Samasta Vedanipunam Shri Rupa Panthanugam Govinda Vidam Ujjalam Vartanam Bhaktianvitam Sundaram Mande Vishwa Guruncha Divya Bhagavad Premrao Hibij Bradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandravadanam Balarka Chelanchitam Chandranandapuram Satekvarnam Vairagvidyam Buddhim Shri Siddhant Nidhim Subhaktilasitam Sarasatanam Varam Bandetam Shabdam Adeka Sharanam Nasisaram Sridharam Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Gauriya Gurvanvaye Bhato Bhanuriva Prabhat Gagane Yogaura Sankirtanay Mayavadatimingilodharagatan Udhritta Jivaniman Kṛṣṇa Prema Sudabdigahan Sukham Pradata Prabhum Tam Bhaje Namo Gaura Kishauraya Bhaktavadhuta Murtaye Gaurangra Padma Bhrangaya Radha Bhavam Shivani Vande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Sharupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radha Rasusudanidam Gaura Rajashita Sheshaira Vaishnavaira Vandavigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Vande Premabdhim Vriddha Vaishnavam Vancha Kalpataru Bhayascha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Kṛṣṇam Bhaktarupa Sharupakam Bhaktavtaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavadannaye Kṛṣṇa Prema Pradayate Kṛṣṇāya Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tushe Namah Sashtang Dandat Pranam to all the exalted Vaishnavas, devotees, servitors tuning in worldwide at Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, to our friends, well-wishers, and to sincere seekers. Hardik Namaskar, welcome to our Friday evening Sangha. I have Sripad Arun Krishna Prabhu here with me. Let me bring him on. Dandat Pranam. Welcome, Sripad Arun Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, we are reading from Religion of the Heart by Om Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj, and we shall continue from where we paused week before last. Anyone wants to follow along in the publication that I have? It's chapter 4. Preparing to understand Krishna's transcendental pastimes. So, we can have that. And before we actually start, I think the title of this chapter is of particular significance. How fine that preparing, so there is preparation to understand the pastimes of Lord Krishna, which are transcendental. So how cautious and how methodical everything is. Arun Prabhu, should I begin?
No, please continue. Yeah.
Right.
I can't hear you.
Welcome, Anilji. Namaskar.
Hare Krishna, sir. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I'm having camera issues, so it keeps turning green, so that's why I keep switching it off.
Now you're correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So the title, Anilji, is Preparing to Understand Krishna's Transcendental Pastimes. And so I was saying that it's of particular significance that there is preparedness. There's one has to be prepared to understand the pastimes of transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. What to talk of, the dream to participate. So one has to be very cautious in all of that. But it is not a small thing to simply understand the transcendental pastimes. They are of such nature. If you remember in Bhagavad Gita, that the verse is there that Janma karma chamay divyam evam yoveti tattvata tyaktava deham punarjanma naeti mameti sarjana. You remember that one, Arun Prabhu? So it's,
Yes,
what does it say? Janma karma chamay divyam. That we should not consider the appearance, pastimes, and the sweet play of Krishna to be of mundane nature by any measure. It is completely, entirely transcendental. It has nothing to do with the mundane. And so he's saying that. He says, Janma karma chamay divyam evam means only evam yoveti tattvata. If you understand this about the nature of my pastimes that I perform, then what will be the result? Tyaktava deham punarjanma naeti. Okay, that is also not the end. Tyaktava deham means after giving up this body, punarjanma naeti, you will not be implicated in birth and death again. Number one, mameti. And you will come to me. And this is simply by understanding this fact about Krishna's pastimes. What to talk of any further elevation?
Yeah.
So we must exercise caution and follow Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj here. So there goes my camera again.
Then come back.
Tava vikriditam Krishna nanama paramamangalam Krishna piyusham asadya tajantya antasprahama jana. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 6, verse number 44. Krishna's pastimes are unlimited and unfathomable. They are completely beyond our material and limited conception. Although we can't understand anything of Krishna's pastimes from here, they are nevertheless supremely auspicious for everyone and our goal of life. Devotee. Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada published the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in a summary form as the Kṛṣṇa book. There he described the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa with the gopis. He says if someone reads these pastimes or hears about them from a bona fide authority in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, all that is lusty in his heart will disappear. Could you please explain how this is possible? Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj. Yes, the shloka you are referring to is this. Vikriditam vrajavadubhir idam cha Vishnu shaddanvito anushunyādatha vannedya bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam hridarogam ashvapinotya achirena dhira. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 33, verse number 39. Anyone who, with faith, hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus, he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. But there is a serious condition given in this shloka, and Srila Prabhupada has explained what that condition is. That it is necessary to hear about Kṛṣṇa consciousness from a bona fide authority in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. And when one hears from a bona fide authority, that authority will not at first explain Krishna Leela, but will start by trying to turn you into a good receiver of those pastimes. He will prepare you so you can properly receive and understand those pastimes. When you become a good receiver, or when you are qualified to hear those pastimes, that authority will explain the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa with the gopis. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand that supramental theory. It will not come to you in a proper way. Next section, faith, the basis of all religions. When one receives transcendental knowledge from his guru and is firm in his faith to his guru, that person will begin to practice Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Without solid faith, we cannot do anything. Faith is the basis of all religions, not only Vaishnavism. In Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism, faith is the basis. It is necessary to have firm faith in great personalities like Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj, Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as well as our entire Guru Parampara. It is necessary to have faith in the words of Lord Kṛṣṇa, as expressed in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Kṛṣṇa himself said to Uddhava in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tasmat tam uddhatotsrajya chodanam pratichodanam pravrittim cha nivrittim cha shotavyam shutamev cha mamekam eva sharanam atmanam sarvadehinam yahi sarvatma bhavena maya syah akuto bhaya. Take shelter of me and you will get the love, beauty, charm, and ecstasy for which you are searching. But you must keep faith in my words, or you will not get what you want. Another important verse is Tasmad Gurum Prapadye Jigyasu Shrehe Shabde Pare Nishnatam Brahmanya Upshamashrayam. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 3, verse number 21. The Guru must be qualified and the disciple must have faith. Then Gurudev will come forward and one can approach him with humility, honor and faith. Faith is necessary, otherwise it is not possible. After one's faith develops, the seed of the Bhakti Lata can be planted by a sadhu in the fertile ground of a faithful heart. And with good nourishment, it will grow. So, I just want to pause here. Arun Prabhu, I just want to submit to you that very importantly, Gurudev, I just want to highlight what he said. He said, without solid faith, we cannot do anything. I think it's really important for sincere students of consciousness, for students of Krishna consciousness, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, our Sampradaya, to clearly understand this, that there is no such thing as a faithless person, a faithless personality. That's a misnomer. The reason being, where you put your faith is a different thing. But you must have faith at the level of being a human. In this quantum of consciousness, you have to have faith. There is no getting away from that. And any transaction, even in the mundane world, is not possible without faith. So people just simply think of faith as to do with just religion and religious persons. That is not the case. So here what we talk about faith is in the absolute sense. So you must put faith, or you must employ or start to employ faith in the words of Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj. Or in other cases, whoever your spiritual master is, then we must do that. But that does not mean that we will come up with faith. Faith is already there. It's employed in different things. And most people's faith who are living out their mundane lives is in the mundane world. That's where they put their faith, and that's what they have. So to slowly, go through that divestiture and then reinvest in the land of Navadip or Vrindavan, that is the faith that Gurudev is talking about. Not to simply come up with faith as a totally new entity, unheard of. We already have it, to discover it, to understand it, and to employ it. What do you say, Arun Prabhu? Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely, Prabhuji. Absolutely. In fact, if one meditates or gives some thought, the whole existence principle in the material world is based on faith only. And most of the people, they start their faith with whatever material observations their sense objects, sense organs have done. and then try to build faith on that. At the most lowest level. But anybody who has a sense of identifying materially who I am, whether even if I'm this body, or I am, whatever title I give to self, by that time that seed of faith has already cropped in. And even if one is living in the most abominable animal-like behavior, the human being is based on faith. Wrongly or rightly, it's based on faith. Faith is, I believe in my senses. I believe in this. And if there is any refinement of knowledge system, I believe in engineering, that's a faith. I want to learn something, I want to go to the college because I have faith that going to the college or taking shelter of a master, a professor who is renowned, I can get something, even that is born out of faith.
Very true. And I remember, just to kind of in the same line as you're talking about, every transaction requires faith. Śrīla Swami Mahārāj, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, gave an example that without faith you can't even go to an airline counter and buy an air ticket. He says you go to an airline counter and you say, I want to fly on such and such date. How do you know that the airplane's going to be there? Yeah. Do you demand to see it? No, it's a faith-based transaction. So he gave that example. That without faith, nothing is possible. No transaction is possible without faith. So, Anilji's go ahead.
Interestingly, in information science, which is related to machine learning, cognition, and cognition, we are only at the beginning step in computer science. When I say cognition function is if there is any computing facility by which you can recognize or classify things. Mm-hmm. There's a very fundamental theorem and a concept which is known as belief propagation. And much of the information theory refinements of cognition is based on belief propagation. And so even at the lowest level of human cognition, not having even achieved any intelligence, the neurons that are in our head, they are getting refined, learning from whatever senses have told me, or what my friend has told me, a friend that I trust has told me, compared to an enemy who has told me, compared to my parents or my guru has told me. There is a continuous evolution of belief propagation that gets solidified based on, even at the material level.
Excuse me for 1 second, Arun Prabhu, I hate to interrupt you, but Namaskar, Sangeeta ji, welcome.
Yeah, namaskar.
Do you mind putting your microphone on mute? Because there's some sound, and when you have to chime in, please go ahead and unmute, and you can speak.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir.
No problem. Go ahead, Arun Prabhu.
So all that I'm saying is, even if somebody is a student of science, I'm not saying this is what is faith. I'm simply saying, look at the definition of belief propagation. And that will give insight to, at the most base level, everything that we recognize around is based on faith. You cannot say anybody can be a faithless person. In fact, I would go a step further. Even animals who have got some brain live on some faith. What to talk of human beings? Yeah.
Anilji, is the discussion fair, or what do you think?
Yes, sir. Nothing, even at the very gross level, is not possible without the faith, right? So, I think that's a summary.
Jai. Alright. So, back to Gurudev, we will move on to the next section, which reads, No imitation. When one begins to practice Krishna consciousness, all his anarthas or impurities will leave him. Then he will be able to understand the pastimes of Lord Krishna. But first, his guru must consider him a qualified candidate. Then that spiritual authority will describe the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, not before. If we hear those pastimes without being qualified, they will destroy our spiritual Bhakti Lata Bij. The seed of the creeper of devotion. They will kill us. That is, they will destroy our spiritual life of devotion, and we will fall into the hellish garbage of Sahajiyaism or imitationism. There is another shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam that describes how Lord Shiva can digest an ocean of poison. Naitat samachare jatu manasapyanishara vinashyatyacharan modhad yatharudho yatharudro abdajam visham. If one does not hold such a powerful position as Lord Shiva and drinks an ocean of poison, he will be destroyed. The play of the sweet absolute is like that. It is beyond the lustful plane of this world. Since we live in a lustful plane, it is necessary to cross that plane by our practices. Then we will be able to understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and transcendental consciousness will appear in us. Since these are higher level topics, before we can approach them, it is necessary to change our consciousness from material to spiritual. It is necessary to pass through all the stages and varieties of material consciousness and come to the Brahmabhut stage. And we can do that by devotion. Then we will become qualified to hear the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and transcendental consciousness will appear within us. If anything wrong remains within us in that plane, it is called Kaivasi, or a shadow of lust. Kaivasi will be quickly demolished, and very soon we will get clean Krishna Prem or love, affection and service to Krishna. When our enjoying mood and spirit disappears, we will become qualified for the service of the Rajagopis. The Srimad Bhagavatam has given us this caution, but one phrase is very important in the above shloka, and that is the qualified spiritual master. Devotee. How can one get a qualified... Oh, yes, Arun Prabhu. Sorry.
Prabhuji, I would like to maybe ask you if you can just re-look into that first sentence of this chapter of no imitation. And the word that Gurudev uses, anartha, when we begin to practice Krishna consciousness, all his anartha will leave him. And anartha in my view, very easily understood by people who understand Sanskrit or the Indic languages. It is hard to translate that in English. So if you can kindly do me a favor and maybe try to elaborate the meaning of anartha.
Anarthas are unwanted, impure qualities born of our rebellious nature towards the center. And in terms of numerically tallying them or putting them, Shri Upadeshamrita very clearly states them in key categories. There are subcategories, but Atyahar, Prayas, Prayasascha Prajalpa, Niyamagraha, Janasangascha Lolyamcha. So these are the main categories of anarthas that, among others, that we need to do away with. So we need to lose them, because that is part of our material consciousness. Anarthas are part of our material consciousness. Gurudev talks about the evolution, the evolutionary process as material consciousness. How we find ourselves with quantum of consciousness, and we don't know material or spiritual. We just have some awareness. So what do we do with it? Where do we go? Now to understand that what you have, what you think is awareness, that you can feel and you can see, and you have your senses and analysis power and all these higher faculties of intelligence, this is all material. And the consciousness, your Cetana is of inherently material quality. And all religious processes, bona fide religious processes, are meant to cleanse those impurities, anarthas, and move consciousness from a impure state, materially impure state, to a spiritually pure conscious state. That is the real purpose of any basic spiritual religious process, bona fide. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
So it's a
the root word, yeah, go ahead.
Say what you want to say.
I mean, the root word of earth is normally something that is substantive and real. And unearth is just illusory or temporary in nature, or more material. Yeah. And that means something that is not impurity.
So we have to cleanse. So that cleansing process, you may call it any ism or anything, but if it is bona fide, then your materially impure consciousness will get purified to some extent by following those do's and don'ts and processes. That is the only real purpose of following a given religious process, to bring one to a state of purified consciousness. And Gurudev then gives the example of the completely purified level of consciousness. He calls it Brahmabhut. So at that level, we are told that no material impurities remain. One is in perfect, situated in perfect, pure consciousness, and is in touch with his real identity. Brahmabhuta prasannatmana shokati na khanchati. Sama sarveshu. Sama sarveshu. What is it? Mad bhaktim labate param. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhaktiyogena sevate sah gunana samitityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So he says, when you engage in bhakti, then one doesn't have to worry independently about, hey, what is this Brahma Bhuta, what is this purified consciousness state? No, it'll come by itself. But you engage in your process. And avyabhicharani bhakti, mam chayo vyabhicharani bhakti, mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate, sa gunana samitityetan. And you will cross the gunas. The gunas, tamo, rajas, sata. These gunas. So even if one is placed in sato guna, that is still material. It is mode of goodness, but it is still material. Basa gunana samitityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Brahma bhut is beyond that. So at that point, no trace of material consciousness is present, and then one is in purely spiritual consciousness. Then one can completely understand. Mad bhaktim labate param. Then real bhakti he may get. Then real bhakti starts. Sama sarveshu, what is that? I forget. Sama sarveshu. I forget that word. Anyway, Mad bhaktim labate param. So anyway, that is the purpose of losing the anarthas or the unwanted. Because if you keep going with the unwanted, then consciousness will not be purified. Anartha nivritti, if it doesn't happen, then how will you get to ruchi or even nishtha or ruchi and then asakti? How will one get to those stages? And then prem is far away. So they're all not theoretical, they are practical, they're real. And these darshana, like Gaudiya darshan, is verifiable, that's why it's called darshan. It's not dry philosophy. We have these are verifiable. Just like one needs to have some faith before entering into chemistry class, the professor or before chemistry lab, they go, okay, now we are going to mix hydrogen and we're going to mix oxygen. And we will get H2O, which you can touch, put it in your mouth, you will be able to feel it. But by the two ingredients, we are not able to see or feel. But then how do we mix them? Well, we have faith, like, okay, here's, because it says O2, so there's oxygen, here it's hydrogen, because the instructor says. So now we mix them. But if you don't get to that stage, then how will you get water? Which is tangible, then you can see, you can drink. So the basis is faith. Even in people are Ashtanga Yoga, they do the physical, mechanical aspect, the Patanjali system. So even in that, what is the first thing is yam? What does yam mean? Yam means doing away with the unwanted. Before cleansing, you cannot get to niyam, discipline. How will you get to discipline before you cleanse yourself? Before the unwanted stuff is out of the way. Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, then go all the way to samadhi. That is ashta anga, the 8 angas. So how will you go? But you have a process, but you're not following it. So then, why cry about the results? I'm not getting results. How will the results come? Your process you're following is faulty. This, that, this, everything is not proper, unscientific, not employing faith. So that's why Gurudev is cautioning us, and he's giving us these important characteristics that we must be aware of as we go along. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Was that okay, Arun Prabhu? No sound.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. Yes.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Mercy. Where did we pause? Yeah.
Devotee asked, how can one get a qualified spiritual master?
Okay, yes. Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj. Now back to Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj. It depends on the Jiva soul's own fortune or his sukriti. Not everyone is able to get a qualified spiritual master, but in the age of Kali, there is special help for the conditioned souls. Like the many instructions Lord Kṛṣṇa gives in the Bhagavad Gita, there are also many incarnations and associates of the Lord who have appeared in this world. If we are able to get at least some light from them, we may search for a great personality from whom we can get the property of Krishna consciousness. And this searching spirit will come by reading the literature of the divine devotees of the Lord. Jai Om Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki. So if you permit, Arun Prabhu, I'd like to pause here.
Yeah.
And we can continue our readings and discussions. Very happy to be in your service. And in summary, want to thank everyone who has joined us on Facebook that I can see. Raj Bhuvanji, Namaskar, Dandavat. Ranga Devi Dasi, Dandavat Pranam. And Madhav Prabhu, always Dandavat Pranam. Very happy to have all of your association and blessings. Yes, Arun Prabhu, please go ahead.
I'd like to say a word, Prabhuji, to Madhav Prabhu and all of the Facebook seekers, devotees. Please pardon me for my last Wednesday class, which I started 1 hour sooner at 6 instead of 7. So, you might have tuned in, and by that time I had concluded the class. I was still living in the past, in the old time zone. So, I'll not make that mistake again. Please forgive me for that error.
Haribol. Hare Kṛṣṇa. All right. So let's see if we have any help. Okay. So we will have Hariharai and then we can conclude.
Yes.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana.
Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha.
Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath.
Ichhai Gosai Kori Charana Vandan.
Ichhai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana.
Jahan hoite Vignana Shabishta Puran.
Jaha hoite Vignana Sabishta Puran.
Ichhai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas.
Ichhai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas.
Tan Savara Padarenu Mora Panchagras.
Sabara Padarenu Mora Panchagras.
Tandera Charana Se Bhakta Sane Bas.
Tandera Charana Se Bhakta Sane Bas.
Janame Mora Ei Abhilash.
Janame Mora Ei Abhilash.
Ichhai Gosai Jabe Braja Koilabas.
Ichhai Gosai Jabe Braja Koilabas.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash.
Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash.
Anand Bolo Hare Bhaja Vrindavana.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhyayaman.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas.
Hari Nam Sankirtana Kohe Narottama Das.
Hari Nam Sankirtana Kohe Narottama Das.
Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad. Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev-Goswāmī Mahārāj ki Jai.
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 Jai Om Vishnupad Vishwarenya Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Bhagavan Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai.
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 Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Śrīla Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Mahārāj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Śrīla Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Mahārāj ki Jai.
Jai.
Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Seva Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Saparsat Shivan Mahaprabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Rupanuga Guru Varga ki Jai.
Jai.
Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai.
Jai.
All the assembled devotees, Shripad Arun Krishna Prabhu, Sangeeta ji, Anil ji, all the Facebook participants, Madhav Prabhu, and everyone else, sab ki jai.
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 Nittai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Jai Ram Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Nav Prabhu ki Jai. Lamanika Didi ki Jai.
Jai.
All the devotees ki Jai.
Jai.